Good morning, everyone. So today we are here with Mark Williams, who is the founder and CEO of Pensar. Pensar is an IT firm and managed service provider. And Mark's going to be talking today about apprenticeships, IT apprenticeships, whether it's right for you, what you should be considering if you're thinking about an apprenticeship. So Mark, tell us a little bit about Pensar to kick us off.
Yeah, good morning, Paula, and thanks for having me. So Pensar is an outsourced IT services firm. We work mostly with small businesses that don't tend to employ their own IT people, and they just want to outsource it like they'd outsource any other function, be it marketing or bookkeeping or HR or whatever it might be. And they basically hand over the IT brief to us, so we do everything related to IT, advisory, consultancy, and the day-to-day support. And we've been 24 years in business, so we must be doing something right.
Wow. And over those years, you've had a few apprentices join you and stay with Pensar, haven't you?
We have indeed, Paula, yeah. We've got one guy currently on the team who's 10 years in.
Wow.
He's in his 10th year, and he started with us as an apprentice.
Yeah.
In fact, because he was one of our first apprentices. So he's lasted the course well.
Yeah, he has. Obviously done well out of it. And you guys as well, I guess.
Exactly.
So one of the things that people are asking me at the moment is tech, is IT a good area to move into? I mean, even, as post-COVID or as a result of COVID, it may be having a few problems at the moment, but it's one of those areas that's more likely to bounce back quicker than others. So what's your views on that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's, the whole pandemic thing has obviously had an effect on all small businesses, IT firms included, but as much as we can be, we're reasonably well protected from the overall effect, I guess. People have become ever more reliant on their tech, obviously, as people started working from home. They've been absolutely reliant on their tech. You and I are on a Zoom meeting at the moment. And without these sort of technologies in place, it would have been almost impossible to carry on doing business for most small businesses. So they appreciate what we've done for them over this period. Some of our clients have had to downsize because of the knock-on effect on their businesses, and we've had to adapt accordingly. But as far as we can be, or as far as I think, IT should be a reasonably well protected business going forward, a sector going forward, and largely immune to these sorts of things.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the less talked about routes is apprenticeships. And one thing that the beauty of apprenticeships is it sounds like something you do when you're 16, but in reality, you can do it at any age, can't you?
Yeah, indeed you can. I mean, most people understand apprenticeships as sort of school leavers, early 20s people going forward. But yeah, the reality is the funding is there for people of all ages to undertake apprenticeships.
Yeah. So what would you say the benefits of actually doing an apprenticeship would be?
Well, there's benefits both ways. From an employer perspective, it's good for us to be able to take someone in raw, essentially, especially in the case of a younger person, obviously, and be able to train them up in the way that we do things. And I think it's the same for most employers. That's one of the benefits, is that you take somebody in and you're able to mold them to your company's way of working. Yeah. For them to grow up within the business. So, depending on what age they join, there's government funding available. So from a financial perspective, it's useful, obviously, that you can, be paying a relatively low wage. At the same time, that the young person is benefiting from training. So they're having on-the-job training, but they're also having formal off-site training as well as part of the scheme, And depending on what apprenticeship they're on, that's anything from sort of 12 to 24 months. And, at the end of the ones we've done tend to be around 15 months. And at the end of that 15 months, they'll be well trained. They'll have had formal training and on-the-job training. And they should be a much more rounded person and much more employable. And typically, we've been able to offer them a full-time position.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually mentor apprenticeships for the PRCA. So that's people starting off in PR. Yep. And the way the apprenticeships work there is that they work 4 days a week with their employer, and then they have a day a week to do project work. Yep. And at the end of 12 to 18 months, they have an endpoint assessment, which is an exam, presentation, and some multiple choice questions.
Yeah.
Is it sort of similar for IT, would you say?
Yeah, excuse me, it is similar. We don't tend to do it on a formal sort of 4 days on 1 day training sort of thing. It tends to be in blocks.
Okay.
So, you know, it's roughly a 6-week cycle or maybe a 2-month cycle where they'll be working normally in the business and obviously picking up the skills within the business and actually doing the job, being introduced into the job, and then they'll have a week off, not off, but a week away training and picking up the more formal qualifications. So in terms of IT, most of the apprentices do the CompTIA syllabus, CompTIA being one of the main IT training organisations. So they'll start off doing what they call the CompTIA A+, which is the foundational stuff really, you know.
Yeah.
And they're expected, part of doing the apprenticeship is they are expected to qualify as A+. They can then go on to do more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's done in blocks of training. But certainly at the end there's the assessment and the interview and the project and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you've mentioned the wages. I mean, obviously, people on apprenticeships do tend to get paid less than those in a full-time job. What often happens after? Is it something you just go straight from apprenticeship to your market value, or is there sort of a bit of a time where you might be in between?
Well, for us, we tend to step it up gradually.
Yeah.
I don't have the current figures to hand, Paul, or what it is at the moment because it changes all the time. And but imagine you were starting off on 16 grand, for instance, as part of the apprenticeship. We always tend to make it up a bit to a living wage anyway. So we get an amount from the government, obviously from the scheme, but we want to make sure that we give people a living wage. So we'll always top it up a bit anyway. But imagine you're on 16 during your apprenticeships, we'd probably then put you up to say 20 or 22, and then step it up based on performance and length of service as you would within a normal role.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you look for in a possible apprentice?
We want someone with a very open mind and who's just really willing to learn and pitch themselves into learning. You know, I think that there's a misconception sometimes that to go to the apprenticeship means you've sort of failed somehow at school. But it's not the case. You know, some people are university material and they really, they've been groomed, as a lot of kids are at university, but some people aren't. You know, I never went to uni and a lot of people I work with never went to uni, but we sort of managed to make it in life okay without having a degree. A lot of people are more suited to the on-the-job approach, and actually they want to get into employment quicker than doing a 3 or 4 year course at uni. And there's a lot of uncertainty around university these days, even more so obviously with the pandemic. And what people will end up with other than a big debt at the end of it. So I think the idea of apprenticeships is going to be more appealing now than it ever has been. I don't know whether that answered the question actually. But
So the question was, what you look for in somebody. So yes, as you mentioned, somebody who's open-minded, willing to learn. Those are the biggies. Yeah. If somebody had, a fair bit of experience in another sector that wasn't IT and had like zero IT experience apart from the normal day-to-day stuff, do you think it's a feasible option for them to think about an IT apprenticeship? I
absolutely do. I mean, obviously, if we got someone came to us who said they they build their own computers at home and they support all their family and friends on IT and they, got a genuine interest, they'd probably be ahead of the game. An interview process and looking at different candidates. But that's not to say that somebody who's not got any IT skills couldn't learn. They absolutely could. They just have to have the right attitude, And it really is all about attitude, as with most selection processes for jobs. I think it's all about the person's attitude and their adaptability and willingness to put the effort in. And if we see that, then they'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah. I mean, you say that makes sense. It's the same for any job, isn't it? And being willing to learn, to change, to learn new tricks and so on. Yeah. So you mentioned about the blocks of work. So there's the work, with you guys, and there's the blocks of work, doing the CompTIA exams. how intense is that? Is that pretty much when you're doing that block of work, you're there, 9 to 5 or more, fully immersed in it?
You mean when you're in the business as an apprentice?
No, on the other side,
in the training. Yeah, it tends to be, I mean, all apprenticeship providers do it slightly differently, but it tends to be classroom type training.
Yeah.
Obviously nowadays, Zoom type training probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bunch of people in a training room going through the syllabus. And it would tend to be pretty intense, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's a lot of expectation for people to learn outside of the normal hours as well. And that's really when it comes back to the attitude of the person. How much do they really want to make this switch or do this? And are they prepared to put in the extra hours needed?
Yeah. So, I mean, IT's like any other industry, isn't it? That there are going to be different types of jobs. There are going to be the very sort of, computer focused, head down jobs. There are going to be the more sort of salesy, people orientated jobs. Would your apprenticeship differ if you were going down different avenues, or is that more to do with the work that you're doing day to day?
So we've had there's many different tracks of apprenticeship within IT. The ones that we've tended to focus on are IT support people. So getting people in as apprentices, training them up in how to deliver IT support and customer care. But there are also digital marketing apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And digital marketing applies across all sectors, obviously, equally so in ours. So rather than employing a full-time marketing person, we have on occasion taken the digital marketing apprenticeship route, trained raw apprentices to come in and help us with the digital marketing. But there are other apprentices, so if you want to get into coding, into pure programming, then there are apprenticeships around that and a whole host of others.
Yeah.
But for our sort of business as a predominantly a deliverer of IT services and support, the IT support apprenticeships are the most relevant for us.
Yeah, yeah. But you mentioned things like customer service. So somebody who's come in without IT experience, customer service, for instance, is something they could really try and get over to their possible employer, isn't it?
Yeah, and that for us is part and parcel of the job, and that's something that they would learn on the job.
Yeah.
Our expectation about how you deliver customer service. There'll be some of that within the training, but the training is largely technically focused. With the apprenticeships that we've been doing.
Yeah.
But there are other there's office admin type apprentices. So, I think we've had over the years. I think we've had one person come in on that basis. So within our company, there's always a sort of junior admin type role, and we've had apprentices perform that role as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. You've had one apprentice stay with you for 10 years. That was obviously a good decision for you and them.
Yeah.
What other things are the apprentices that haven't stayed with you? Obviously, everyone moves around in job markets. Do you know what sort of things they've gone on to do?
Well, some of them haven't worked out, and that's just life. That's just the way they work out, and they've decided it's not for them, or they haven't been able to step up their game, enough. We've had some young people that have sort of been almost like forced into it. Maybe they've had parents who have said, get out of the house and do something with your life. But maybe they've not been totally committed themselves. We've had other people who've been very successful. They've just moved on to better thing, and that's fine. If we get some goodness out of it, which we normally do, then that's fine. You can't stop people moving on to bigger and better things. Yeah. In the same way as it would happen with any employee, I like to think that if somebody spends 2, 3, 4 years with Pensar and moves on to something better, then we've done our job with them, and we've had good service from them, and we go on accordingly. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you wanted to mention about apprenticeships?
Well, just that anybody who's considering it, do look at it seriously. As I said earlier, it's university isn't for everybody, and if you want to get into the job market earlier and gain skills in the process, then it's certainly worth looking at. It really is, and it works for a lot of people.
Yeah.
in whatever type of apprenticeship you're going to do.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you know, you don't have debt. You get on the job training.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. For maybe older people, people with a few more years under the belt, if they want to make a switch, then in doing an IT apprenticeship, they'll be switching into an industry that is not going to disappear, obviously. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose in that case, you have to look at that time, even though you may be working on wages that you're not used to. It's an investment, isn't it? It's you retraining yourself and not having to pay out for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's an investment, and it's an investment in your future.
Yeah.
And it may well work out for you. So give it a go.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Mark. It's been really, really interesting. And we'll put some links to IT apprenticeship resources underneath the video. So thank you, Mark.
Great. Good to talk to you. Take care.
Bye-bye.